Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Catherine and it is day 15 of Designer December. So first of all, apologies. I know we're running a bit late on the days, but the good news is that we are adding more and more images each day, and some of these updates have been pretty huge. Today's is a big one. It is infographics, and these really give a new spin on how you use tangent templates, the kind of designs you can create. Yesterday we had comic books, comic strips, and that was brilliant for creating sort of children's books, activity books. Today, these infographics, they're really a kind of catch-all term, I guess. I'm using infographics as a catch-all term for charts, graphs, just new ways to lay out information. And I think these are incredibly versatile and really, really useful in your workbooks. You can see here I've just used one simple design on this page, and this makes a great sort of front page. You could use this as the first leaf in your books, and doesn't it look corporate? I think I should definitely be Shelton and Associates because that looks very official. You can see the kind of things you can make just by dropping one of these onto a page. It already has kind of a cool feel to it. So let's take a look at some of these images and how they work. So I'm going to walk you through these designs in a minute. You can see these are a few of the designs that I've been creating with these. But let's start with a blank page just so I can show you the images. As with every day of Designer December, you can find these images by just going to the interior designer, going to images, scrolling down, and here you go. There's two new folders, Infographics and Flowchart. So let's take a look at infographics first. What these are is an awesome collection of just really attractive shapes, patterns, designs that you can put information into. And these can be used two ways. You can use them to present information. So whatever it is you've written a book about, whether it's about wine tasting or camping or marketing, whatever it is you want to teach people or show people or encourage them to do, you can present information to them using these elements. So for example, you could use this one, you can make it a fainter color, and then you can add text to it. So if we were doing marketing, you could put this in the middle, the marketing box, and so on. Then you can just fill this around the outside with whatever topics you want to talk about. And it's a great way to create like an index page for your book, a first page for your book, or just to give people a taste of what you're about to tell them about in your book or how they're going to engage with the information in it. So here's one that I did here, New You in 2021. And of course you can change the shades of these. So, I mean, you can have it black. You're not going to be able to see much on that. Well, I guess you could change the text to white. So you could do that. There we go. If you have a hard time finding the text or grabbing things on the page, remember that you do have this center back and center front. So if you're trying to grab something and something else, another element is getting stuck in the way, just use center back, and then the element that you're going to try and get should be at the front. So that's a nice cheat if you're struggling with the interface. Couple of points. The interior designer is still in beta. We are working to get this perfect for you. And we've been actually adding small tweaks each day to make it a little bit more functional, a little more smooth. If there's anything you see that's bugging you, that's not working quite as it should, please send us an email, support@tangent.rocks. We are working to have this absolutely flawless as soon as possible. It's pretty solid. It's working pretty well, as you can see. But just a reminder that it is in beta. And we also recommend that you always check your PDFs through before submitting them to KDP, just to make sure they look exactly as you expect. Hopefully, we will be out of beta very soon in the new year. Then you won't see anything like that. But if you do, send us an email, support@tangent.rocks. Okay, so let's take a look at some more of these designs. Oh, I don't like that. Let's make that go back to grey. There we go. Oh, and in fact, what I've done there, that's actually kind of a nice way to highlight a particular topic. So you can make this design small, for example, and include it in the corner of your pages. So if you were doing a workbook, say, about New You in 2021, what you could do is have chapters of your book, one for travel, one for stress, one for health, and so on. And you could just repeat this design in the top corner of each chapter or at the front of each chapter, and highlight just like that the one topic that chapter's about. So that would be a really nice design feature. So, I just sort of discovered that accidentally, but that would look pretty cool. Let's take a look at some other things I've done here. I used this design with the chess pieces. So this is an infographic, this element here with the crosses and the squares. That's an infographic element. I think you can find it. There it is. It's that one there. These actually make really nice little design features as well. I mean, you could put these in the corner of your writing paper or journal paper, just because they're neat geometric shapes, and you can combine them as well to make coloring elements. So you can really get creative with these once you start exploring them. We've tried to sort of give you the most interesting shapes and unique shapes we could put together. So I hope you enjoyed them. So yeah, this is a social media strategy book. This would probably be sort of one of the front pages. I could totally see a coach who's teaching people marketing, advertising, using this as their workbook, and they could sell it as part of their course. That's the great thing with KDP. If you're a coach or a teacher, you can create your own personalized workbooks. You can put them on KDP, and they're really, really cheap. I mean, people can buy a book for less than $10 and have it as part of their course. Or even better, you can buy author copies for usually about $3 a book for author copies on a small workbook. As long as you don't use color, that pushes the price a little bit further up. But you could create a workbook like this and send it out to people who are on your course. It's like a really nice touch. So that's something cool you could do with these. I also used this image, which is very similar to that one, in a different way here. Working on You, I made it a little bit more like a teen journal, so it has slightly different feel. I put one of the cartoon characters in here. You can find these characters under Images, Characters. We also have the little robots and monsters. Just a little bit of fun to a page. The way I did this bar here is that I just drew a box. So we have all these boxes here, and you can use, actually, let me start on a fresh page. You can use these boxes as they are to do some really simple design features. So I like to draw them big. Make sure they go all the way across the page, actually, through the margins. Otherwise, if KDP trims, you might get a weird effect with a white line down the side. But you can just fill in the box like that. You can change colors. You can put black lines, dark grey, and you can also remove the border if you don't want those black lines on the edges. And then what you can do is just make them diagonal. You can make it thinner. You can put two of them. You can put black on it. You kind of get a feel for how you can use those boxes just to create really simple design elements like that. I find on sort of corporate pages, sometimes having them really pale as a kind of watermark works really well. So I go for sort of pretty much the lightest shade of grey and do things like that. And it looks kind of nice. You can put text across there too. So that's a great way to put like copyright messages or footnotes onto your pages like that. So you don't have to get super corporate with these infographics. Here's a wine journal page I made, and this was really designed to look sort of handmade and sketchy. You can see I've used two infographic elements here, one for the taste wheel there, and one to make this kind of pyramid of things to remember when you're tasting wine. This icon came from the icon set, which is there. We have some sort of fun, sketchy icons you can use. And the ratings, of course, came from the ratings folder, which, gosh, we've been busy this December, is here. So if you don't like the stars, you could also use hearts, you can use circles, whatever you think looks cute in your book. That was just a sort of fun, sketchy wine journal I created. I also used the borders. You can find those in the images under borders. And you can see we've got a ton of different borders you can play with. And if you find the borders aren't long enough, you can put two of them together. They should tile pretty well if you put two together. So that's kind of a tip for working with the borders. Okay, so let's look at what else I've created with these. So you can do pyramids. Pyramids are awesome. If you're teaching people things, a pyramid is just a really good way of structuring your thoughts, like working towards a goal. So I don't know, maybe if you're doing a journal for having a baby, for going through an addiction treatment, I mean, at the top is kind of being free of that treatment and being free of the addiction. Or I guess you could use it in a relationship for sort of fixing a relationship. You could have at the top of the pyramid, you have a happy relationship, and then underneath that are the steps that you want to work through to achieving that happy relationship. So pyramids, I'm a fan of pyramids just because you can use them for so many things. It's such a great way to just think in hierarchies for whatever topic you're creating your book about. You can also just use them as design features. So this is like a notebook or a journal. You could use this with anything. It could be contacts, passwords. I mean, you can put text on here to tell people how to use this. So, I mean, you could put, if you wanted to make this a directory or like a contact, you could just put contact and then put more information on there. So, I mean, you could put like phone number. You can absolutely add your own text, your own ideas there. So that's another way to use this design. Just a reminder, the way I create lines is I draw a box. So if I get my box there, I make it a little bit bigger. And then what I do is I scroll down and select college rule lines. Oh, it looks like I used wide rule lines there actually. You get the gist. That's how you create lines. So there we go. Let's do wide ruled. Perfect. And of course you can select all of these, drag them to make them a little bit longer and so on. Yeah, so that looks pretty cool there. This is like a kid's design that I was working on. So if you're making a book for children, you could use the little characters. So this is the infographic shape there with these ones in the inside, these circles on the inside. And it looks like, which one did I use? I think it was down here. It was that one. So I used that image there. You can have a lot of fun with these bubbles. Like they're a really good way of like organizing two things inside each other. You can see that one has big circles, little circles inside. The difference between this one is this has 4 big circles, 4 small circles. This has 5 big circles and 5 little ones. So depending on how many points you want to present to your audience, you can do that using the different designs there. I really like this one. I think this looks really cute for a kid's design. You can also add more images. I mean, I like the planets and the stars. I think those are really fun to add to your designs. Like there's a little planet. So the little alien guy's missing his planet. There's nothing to stop you adding some planets to it there. There we go. Maybe a little bit big. Yeah. So you could have fun with that. You could put more planets and stars around the space, and then kids could color it. So you've got those choices there to make a unique design. This is another design I was just playing with. I was creating, just because I love improv, that's like one of my things that I like to do. And I used this design here, the diamond, to pretty much an improv teacher could create a little workbook like this and hand it out to their team. So at the center, there's your team, your improv team. And these are the 4 things you'll probably learn to do on day 1. To say yes and, to give metaphorical gifts to your team, to play Zip Zap Zop, it's a fun game, and to make everyone look good. And I put some little icons around there as well. So again, if you want to have this more interactive, you could encourage people to sort of circle these, draw around them, color them in. You can of course change the colors of all of these. If you don't like that shade, you can make it a little lighter, you can make it darker, and so on. So you can really make all of these elements look as you want them to look. So lastly, we also have another folder here that's called Flowchart, and this is pretty self-explanatory. It is a whole bunch of shapes. There's solid, dotted and dashed shapes here, and a whole bunch of arrows. And you don't have to use these for flowcharts. You can use them for all kinds of different designs. And you can see in the pages here, I used this arrow there to point to the girl. So you can get really creative with how you use these arrows. They're really easy to add to your designs just to draw attention to specific things. So that's Flowchart. It gives you all these arrows. Of course, you can make them whatever color you want to create. You can do that. You can have them black or gray, light gray, dark gray, any shade of gray with no funny business. And you can add a flowchart by putting your shape on there and then moving your arrows. There we go. So what I've done is I've created several versions of each thickness of arrows. So you have some here that have a sort of very short tail and then a longer body part of the arrow. This is more even, and then this, the tail is longer. So you can use these in different ways. You can also rotate them, of course, and flip them around. So if you want to, you could put like this arrow there. I'll get rid of that one and I'll copy that and rotate it. There we go. If I mirror it. There we go. You can see I'm rotating that. Great. And now we can add more shapes under there. So what's a good flowchart shape? So the way you would use flowcharts is really if you're talking about sort of the consequences of taking different actions. So if you're a coach, you could be like, what do you want to do today? Stay in bed, go and hustle. And then, of course, you want them to go and hustle. So if they say stay in bed, then you can say, okay, fine, stay in bed. But if they say go hustle, then you can be like, great, read the rest of this workbook and go out there and get them. So you can see the different ways you can create flowcharts. And flowcharts are really fun for kids as well. I mean, you can use them for chores, cleaning, homework. Have I done my homework today? No? Okay, I'm going to go and do my homework. So have fun with the flowcharts. Have fun with the infographics. I hope you enjoy using these. I hope they add a lot of versatility, creativity to tangent templates. You can mix and match them with all the other images we've been adding, and we'll be back tomorrow with day 16. Have a good one, guys. Bye.